having limited items in your pantry opens up this possibility of being more creative.
Hey guys, I'm Scott Tacinelli.
And I'm Angie Rito. We're from Don Angie in the West Village of New York City.
You know, we both grew up in Italian-American households, and there was always like random things shoved in our pantries that I never knew what they were. We never saw our parents use them, or they were there for months, let alone years sometimes.
We decided to make polenta gnocchi with some random polenta that we had in our cabinet. We're also gonna make a nice pan sauce with butter and some honey and lemon. And we're gonna top it off with this delightful sesame brittle that we found in our cabinet as well. I mean, most people don't realize that you can make gnocchi out of like a plethora of things. You basically just need something that's starchy.
So let's get started, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna start out with some milk and some water. The milk just adds like a little extra richness. You can honestly go like all milk if you want. This is just starting to come up to a boil. You definitely want to use instant polenta for this. Non-instant, you're just gonna have to cook it a little longer. That's it. I'm whisking this to the point where it almost resembles like spackle. Like it's gonna be obnoxiously thick. Polenta is pretty versatile for a number of things. You can make pancakes with polenta. You can make cephalae or donuts with polenta. You can make cookies with polenta. Also just keeping it moving to ensure that it's cooking evenly. I think I'm good to go. I'm gonna put it into another container. When you're cooling down polenta, it's a really good idea to put like a little layer of plastic wrap like directly onto the polenta so that it doesn't get one of those like skins on top of it. And I'm gonna put it in the fridge to cool. The polenta has completely cooled down. It takes like a half hour. I'm going to go ahead and make my dough. Now you can do this in a stand mixer as well. So you can see this really hardened up a lot. Basically now I'm just breaking it up. I'm gonna add like a half cup of parm, half cup of flour, a teaspoon of sugar, just to bring out the sweetness of the corn flavor in the polenta, and then some salt, and a little pinch of black pepper. I'll let this process together again. So now I'm gonna add a whole egg to bind this all together. And you can see it has formed a cohesive mass. That's what you're looking for here.
I'm gonna roll the gnocchi out. You need a little bit of bench flour. This dough is great because I really don't believe it can be overworked very much. I like to roll one nice smooth log first. You're just barely using pressure, and you're using your whole palm and fingertips. That's the best way to roll this kind of stuff. And you want to be very, very, very gentle. Then what I like to do is cut this into 3 even pieces. It makes it easier to work with. And I'm gonna do the same process, but as I do this one, very, very lightly, I'm gonna start pulling my hands away from each other. And when you do that, what it does is it stretches out the dough. If you get a crack, you can just kind of pinch it with your fingers and keep rolling, and it should come back together. The idea is you want to use flour so it doesn't stick, and it kind of helps form that coating on the outside, but you don't want to use too much flour. Basically what I'm looking for is even cylinders about 1 inch thick. You know, making handmade pasta is something that is really just relaxing and enjoyable. Angie and I both always talk about how we loved cooking with our grandparents, and you know, doing things like this reminds me of them, and that always brings happiness to me because they were very influential to me in my career and my cooking. So seal the end with a little bit of flour so you don't waste any. Using a butter knife or using this flat bench scraper, cut each one into, they're almost like squares the way I like to make it. It kind of reminds me of like a frosted mini wheat or something, but you can make them longer if you wanted to and put them onto a sheet tray. And she's gonna stick them in the fridge. The nice thing about the flat scraper,
Sorry.
the nice thing about using this plastic scraper is it has that flat side, so when it comes time to clean, you can kind of scrape all the flour.
We always love adding textural contrast to all of our dishes. So we landed on this nut and seed product from the cabinet.
If you don't have this dried nut product, you could use just plain nuts, toast them in the oven, or untoasted if you didn't want to do that. You could use dried fruit.
A good move for crunching things up is using a freezer bag, and then I'm just gonna break it up with this rolling pin. This is another therapeutic situation where...
Just don't bash it too hard so you can break the plastic bag open.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to break this stuff up evenly, and then we have crumbly stuff to put on our finished product. So we're bringing our water up to a boil with a generous amount of salt. While I'm getting that going, I'm gonna prepare my sauce. Also in the cabinet of wonders, we found some sesame oil. Put a little bit of this just to kind of tie together the sesame flavor from the crunchy stuff that we're gonna finish the dish with.
If you don't have sesame oil, that's fine. You could use olive oil.
I'm gonna add some honey. And we always have lemons floating around. So I'm adding like the juice of one whole lemon. I'm gonna add some lemon zest as well. Now finally I'm gonna add a little bit of water to this and a pinch of salt. I'm gonna take a portion of the butter and brown it to toast the milk solids in the butter and release that like nutty aroma. You'll notice that the bubbles get bigger and bigger. It starts to get like louder. You hear like popping and cracking, and that's gonna increase. And then basically the moment it stops, that's when your butter is brown. And it quieted down. Now I just added in my honey mixture and let that reduce a bit. In the meantime, I'm going to start cooking my gnocchi. I want to make sure this is at a rolling boil. You don't ever want to put any sort of pasta into water that's not fully boiling. Basically going to cook these until they float. I'm going to finish the sauce now with whole butter to make it creamy. So it's going to coat the gnocchi. It's all about the movement. So my gnocchi are starting to float. Use this nifty device here. Turn my sauce back up. Bring these back up to a boil. Now I'm starting to see these big bubbles form. That's when I know it's reduced. Now we're all set. Just need to plate it up.
So we're just gonna finish it with a little black pepper, a little bit of cheese. This is just like a Parmesan Reggiano. And then Angie's gonna finish it with the crackers.
Crunchy stuff.
Yeah. It's so fun to eat something that, you know, we've been looking at these things in our pantry for so long, and now we have a meal out of it.
It's an opportunity to put unexpected flavors together.
What are
These flavors like really play well together. The honey, lemon juice, cheese. It really dresses up the polenta.
So what are we gonna do next? That's the thing.
I